What's going on, guys? So hopefully you enjoyed this video, especially if you're shopping for a new fifth wheel hitch. In front of you, you were looking at two brands that are very reputable, very overbuilt, and designed for those of you who are looking for some of the strongest fifth wheel hitches available on the market that specifically plug into your OEM Gooseneck fifth wheel prep kit. Now, on the left, we have the CURT Q-Hitch, which Q-Hitch is a specific brand for eTrailer, so it's exclusive to them. It's a 25,000 pound rated hitch. It's manufactured by the folks from CURT, and this is kind of a staple in the industry because if you order a new heavy duty truck and you select that box where it says fifth wheel hitch included, this is typically the hitch you're going to see, or something very similar to this. It's going to be a CURT product that is, again, designed specifically to work with the pickup truck manufacturer that you check. So whether it's General Motors, Ford, or Ram, they use CURT as the primary product that they offer whenever you select a fifth wheel hitch to be included with your package. On the right, we have the B&W Companion, also 25,000 pound rated hitch. This was my personal hitch whenever we towed with a traditional fifth wheel connection until we switched to the Reese Goosebox because I wanted to take the bulk out of the bed of my truck and not have to remove this every single time we needed to clear the bed of the truck out. So this right here is what you're going to see in the bed of a lot of people's vehicles. This is an absolutely phenomenal product made in the USA, and they've done a phenomenal job evolving it, as well as just creating a very simple to use, easy to understand, and easy to maintain product as well. But either way you go, you're getting a quality product. They're both insanely overbuilt. They're both designed really well, but they execute on things a little different. And we're going to talk about that in this video. Hang tight. I'll be right back. Okay, so let's talk about these a little bit more. So they're both crazy heavy because they're made out of steel. So any way you slice it, getting these into the bed of your vehicle or out of the bed of your vehicle will be a chore for most folks. Thankfully, they give you the ability to remove the hitch heads, and that's really nice. It removes a good amount of weight so you can actually separate the pieces, and again, it makes it a little bit more convenient getting in and out of the bed of your vehicle. Now, one thing that you should note about both of these designs is that if you are getting a Ram vehicle or a General Motors vehicle, this base, which is specifically designed for Ford, as is this one, is going to be different. And you'll have to specifically get the B&W product for your GM or Ram or Ford vehicle if you're going with the B&W. With the Q-Hitch, the wings are what are different. So if we get this one, the center body will be the same for any of the trucks, but the wings that you bolt on to that center body will be exclusive for General Motors, Ram, or Ford. Right now, again, we have the Ford wings attached. The way this all goes together, they're all pretty simple, actually. Once you get the wings attached, or once you get the upright posts attached here, that's all the bolting you're going to have to do. Everything else is essentially just sliding the hitch head on and then pinning it in place. With B&W, you have 4 bolts on each side that hold these wings into the main body. On the Q-Hitch, you have 2 bolts on each side, which are larger bolts, and they hold the wings onto the body. Now, some people might say, well, 4 bolts is naturally better than 2 bolts. I don't think that's necessarily the case in this specific scenario, mainly because both of these have met every certification to prove that they can meet their towing requirements, and I believe the 900,000 cycle testing. I've never heard of a failure of those bolts on either of these products, and this product has actually been around for quite some time, as has the B&W Companion. This one in front of you is like 7 years old. So a testament to both of these is the fact that you will see these in a lot of people's vehicles. Again, if you order a truck with the fifth wheel hitch, this is what you're going to get. If you go aftermarket, this is typically what people buy. Very common products. Whenever you look at how the hitch head attaches to the body is actually, again, very similar between the two. You simply pull these handles up right here, you take the whole thing, set it on top, and then these pins slide through these holes and secure it in place so the assembly can't actually be removed. It's a really functional and relatively easy process. You don't have to maintain too much. There's a couple grease zerks in here, and then these right here you need to apply grease to as well, because these essentially act as a bit of your dampening. They allow the hitch head to rock and rotate a little bit. On the Q-Hitch, they do things a little differently, right? You pick the hitch head up, you have this big peg right here, which is going to drop into this rubber bushing. So this whole thing's rubber right here. And it gives you a little bit more articulation in terms of side to side and front to back articulation because of that, especially if you're hitching up at an odd angle. But once that's in place, these right here simply cover up this large steel rod right here that's in the middle. And this is an absolutely insane piece of steel. And you can see how it really can rotate. And you put 2 pins in and your hitch head is installed. Both of them are pretty dang simple to put together. When we look at the overall structure of both products, they're both built incredibly well. But I do have to admit that the Q-Hitch has more structure to it overall. It's probably even a little bit heavier, but when you look at the overall structure, you have 1/4-inch thick steel, as do you on the B&W product, but you have a lot of main structure that's welded into it. I mean, this has a lot going on, and I don't necessarily see it as failure points. I see a lot of reinforcement going through here. I see a lot of really thick steel, and the hitch head itself is also really thick steel. Nothing here looks thin or lacks some type of strength or structure to do what it's claiming it can do. On the B&W product, you have a lot of structure as well, especially in the hitch head. The hitch head here is an absolute beast. Inch-thick jaws completely surround the kingpin, as do they with the CURT product, but the jaws are definitely thicker on the B&W product overall. When we look at the body itself, the body, you know, it doesn't have a ton of stuff going on here. It's very simple in terms of overall execution. But one thing that you can tell right off the bat is that it's not going to lend itself to the amount of movement that you can have with the Q-Hitch because of how that bar right there can rotate around and how you have that large rubber bushing in the center to allow it to move like that. Okay, so now I have both hitch heads flipped upside down, and you can kind of see how this works. So when you grab these handles right here and you lift up, you can see how that piece of metal right there rotates back, and that's actually what locks this in place to the hitch head. The pins just add extra security to keep it in place. But you can see how the hitch head on here has the ability to rock side to side over this long pivot point right here in the center. So when we look over at the Q-Hitch, you can see that this one's designed a little differently. So it's also designed to rock, and it rocks forward and back on this, but it rocks side to side on this kind of spherical shaped bearing right in the middle right here. Definitely a more complex design. This right here would make you kind of feel as if there's more maintenance required to keep this thing up and running, but I don't really think there is. And again, I haven't specifically heard of any issues with this or any failures resulting from this design. But you can definitely see how there's quite a bit of articulation here, side to side, forward and back, and how you can rock across these as well, and it gives you a tremendous amount of movement. I would have to say between the two, you're probably going to have more free range movement with the Q-Hitch, though the movement you get with the B&W is still going to give you that side to side movement here as well as the forward and back rocking movement here. So they're both brilliant designs, and they execute in completely different methods. It's really cool to see how they both do things completely differently but still give you a very similar end result, and that's kind of cool. Okay, so we have both hitch heads facing forward so you can see what the jaws look like and how they differ. Now, the mechanism for both of these is completely different. Basically, how it locks around your kingpin is entirely different. This one uses a spring mechanism, but you can see with the B&W, it uses inch-thick steel to completely encompass the kingpin, so it's completely surrounding the kingpin. On the Q-Hitch, it uses what appears to be half-inch thick steel, and at any point, you really have only half-inch thick steel surrounding the kingpin. Again, not too big of a concern, but if you are comparing thickness, the B&W is certainly going to win in this category. But I don't think either of these are going to pose any type of failure risk because they're both, again, kind of insanely overbuilt overall. Okay, let's get these mounted on their bodies so you can see what they look like completely assembled. Okay, so now we have them both completely assembled. This one is sitting significantly higher because we have it in its highest position. This one is sitting a bit lower because we have it in its second highest position. But what I can tell you right off the bat is that the B&W gives you a little bit more flexibility to raise it higher if you need that extra bed height clearance. Q-Hitch, on the other hand, is not going to sit quite as high, but I think for about 99.9% of the applications out there, it's going to sit as high as you would need it to get the proper bed height clearance you're looking for. And when you look at how they're actually secured into the puck mount, they're both secured in a very similar fashion. You basically remove a pin that secures both handles in the closed position, rotate these open. You have a castle nut up here that you can remove that pin, and you can tighten it or loosen it depending on how snug it is. Have the same type of castle nut here, and then you simply lock it into the puck system or the fifth wheel prep system on your truck. You close these up. You throw this pin inside to lock it on the CURT, and then you throw this pin to lock the B&W handle shut, and you are secured in place. So from an installation into the vehicle perspective, they're both pretty much identical. There's not going to be any real difference there. Now, when you look at the actual plate, they execute a little differently. This one utilizes, it appears to be 1/4 inch thick steel as the plate, and it tapers down to give you a slide mechanism to be able to slide up and hitch in place. This one appears to also be about 1/4 inch thick, but it's also thicker in some areas just because of how this one's manufactured, but it still gives you that same ramp to get up and slide into place so you can get locked into your actual jaws. Now again, the mechanism by which this one closes is when you back up and the kingpin presses on this portion right here, it's going to lock around the jaw automatically, and this is going to close on you like that. So it creates an entirely encompassed kingpin, and then you pin it in place up here, and once you pin that in place, the jaws won't open. Once you remove that, you can then push that to open your jaws. This one's going to be very similar. So with the Q-Hitch, whenever you back up to the kingpin, it's going to spring into place, but that trigger mechanism is when the kingpin applies pressure right here. Then once that happens, the assembly is going to spring shut, and then your bar right here is going to slide in. This piece right here, you can see how you have that, the straight piece right here, it lays into this notched out piece right here, and when it does that, you can pin it shut. But as you can see right now, because the jaws are open, it will not allow you to pin it shut. Either way, if you're able to put the pin in through here and it goes through this material, you're locked and you're seated. Same with the B&W. If you are able to pin this shut, your jaws are locked. Those are kind of the safety mechanisms that you have to utilize to understand if you're hitched up properly. And of course, because these are traditional fifth wheel hitches, you certainly want to do a tug test just to make sure everything is safe. So with the Q-Hitch, and I don't have a kingpin just laying around, to close it, when you back up, it's essentially going to do this number. And it's going to lock in place. So now you can see it's not just locked, but it's seated down, and it kind of puts a little bit of pressure on the kingpin to make sure that it is aligned and it's seated properly, which is really nice. So once we're in place now, you can see that this pin goes in place here, or that drop portion, and then we can just feed a pin directly in, and we're locked. And now we are safe to tow with this setup. And the way you would open up your jaws on here, whether you're prepping to tow or you are just trying to uncouple, you'd simply open that up, flip that up, and this is like a trigger. This is almost like a shotgun. You simply pull like that, and it's a very, very familiar feeling for those of you who are into firearms. And on this one right here, you simply open the jaws up that way. So they do things a little different. Again, this one's more spring-loaded, and it is more of an automatic effect. And if I had to tell you which one I kind of prefer, well, to be honest with you, I've always preferred the simplicity of the B&W. It's a very simple product. I love the fact that it utilizes these 1-inch steel jaws that go around. But at the end of the day, they both are very, very effective. They both give you a really positive locking feel whenever everything is locked in place. And if you are utilizing the safety features that are built in, such as knowing that this is closed and the pin's in place, right? And then on this one, you even have some indicators back here that tell you if you are coupled or not. And if you are yellow, you are in the coupling position. If you are green, you're ready to tow. And if you are red, then you are uncoupled. So you have, again, some indicators right here to kind of guide you through the process. If you want to close the jaws manually On the CURT though, it's a little different because you have to trigger this in order for the jaws to close. On the B&W, it's pretty easy just to flip the lever back and the jaws will close. So I don't know if that really matters to most people, but it's just a little difference in terms of execution. And then finally, if we talk about movement, because we were talking about that earlier, you can see when this is in place, you got a good amount of forward and back movement, and you also have the head's ability to rotate side to side, which I don't know if I can do on my own. You pretty much have to be hooked up to a fifth wheel because it's going to be very stiff to try to get this head to move side to side. Not so much on the Q-Hitch. So on the Q-Hitch, you got a lot of movement here. You got forward and back movement, you got side to side movement. Forward and back movement's a little stiff in this position, but it certainly has the ability to rotate forward as well if you are going to be hitching up to your fifth wheel. But overall, they're both really fantastic products. And to be honest with you, I like the look of the Q-Hitch. I like some of the overbuilt qualities of the Q-Hitch. And I like the fact that the OEM manufacturers trust this product in their vehicles whenever they sell new vehicles, because that actually means quite a bit. With B&W, I love the simplicity of the design. I love the function. I love the reputation it has. I love the fact that it's manufactured in the United States as well. That's also a huge one. And I love how certain aspects of it are definitely overbuilt, such as the 1-inch thick jaws that wrap around the kingpin, as well as it's a little bit easier to disassemble and put together in the truck, because once you pop those two pins out, you lift the handles up and that disengages it. With this one, you pop the pins out, you kind of have to shimmy it out, and then you have to keep an eye on these little brackets that hold it in place when everything's said and done. But what do you all think? How do you all feel about both these products? Again, with either of these products, just like other videos in the past where I've said, if you've experienced a failure, shoot me an email. I'd love to know more about the situation, how it occurred, so I can share it with viewers so they can possibly avoid those types of situations themselves. And then finally, let's talk about price. That's where you're going to see a big difference here. The B&W product is going to be about $300 more than the Q-Hitch. So the same rating, but you're going to pay about $300 more for the B&W Companion versus the Q-Hitch. So this product right here is under $1,000, and this product right here is about $1,300. So again, there's going to be a pretty big price difference between the two. If you're looking to save some money, but still have an incredibly powerful, incredibly strong overbuilt hitch, the Q-Hitch might be the right choice for you, especially considering some of the technology that's baked into it. It is certainly not a hitch that looks, feels, or functions in a cheap way. It feels like a very, very high quality hitch, and it looks really good. In the bed of your vehicle, it would be a very, very good looking hitch to have back there. Plus, with all the safety features built into it, the fact that it uses a trigger style mechanism to lock in place, you have color indicators to know if it's securely latched, this might be the right hitch for you. But that is not discrediting the B&W product at all. Again, this is the product that I used for years in the back of my vehicle when we were using a traditional fifth wheel hitch to haul our fifth wheel around. I've made so much content on why we switched from a fifth wheel hitch to a Gooseball, so you can easily find that. Simply look up Reese Goosebox, Big Truck, Big RV, and you'll find all the content on the different reviews we've done on the various generations of that product and why we made that switch. But if I were to go back to fifth wheel towing, I would probably, personally, since I have them both, I'd probably switch between the two just to see which one I like better overall. But I have no problem with either of these products. I think they're both absolutely fantastic. It's just, how much money do you want to spend? Is there a specific thing you're looking for that B&W offers that the Q-Hitch may not? Anyways, guys, please drop a comment below. Let me know what your thoughts are. If you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up. We'll talk to you again very soon.